Hello everyone, welcome to an episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video we are going to be going over what I think will be the upcoming, Blitz meta for Skirmish season. I kind of just wanted to make this to have some fun. I think the meta is overall really wide open. I think it has a lot of very viable heroes. It just kind of depends on like where your local meta looks like and kind of what's going on. From last split season, right, we have Viscerai getting Living Legend. We have the Crown of Seeds ban. Obviously, Stubby Hammers got preemptively banned because of Phi and things of that nature. And we have new heroes like Phi, Dromai, and then obviously Icelander is not new, but she has a lot of new cards. So it's a pretty wide open meta, and this isn't a definitive tier list by any means. There's always going to be one person in the comments that gets upset with me on where I put a specific hero, which is totally fine. It's just opinion based. It's also just kind of fun. Blitz for me is less serious. It's more of just like a really fun mode to play with friends, and obviously there's some big high level competitions for it, but overall just a fun thing to do. So I have all the heroes here with the exception of 3. For some reason tier list maker just kept saying my file size was too big. Like literally there's 27 playable heroes in Blitz. It let me upload 26, but it wouldn't let me upload the last one because it said the file size was too big, even after I tried to compress it. So what I ended up doing was I took out 3 heroes that I just think wouldn't be played in a competitive setting, so don't get upset with me. I took out Shiana, I took out Guinness, and I took out Caverdine. So if you play any of those heroes, if you want to play them just for fun, I do think those are like ultimate pit fight, kind of like more fun characters anyway. So please don't be upset with me for not including them in this tier list, but just kind of a heads up for you all. So looking at it, like I said, we got Phi and Dromai as the new heroes. Icelander got a lot of new cards. Oldheim got a slight nerf. We got a new Dorinthia. So we technically have 3 new heroes and then one hero that has a significantly larger card pool, and kind of just go from here. So again, like I said at the very beginning, overall, I think the meta is pretty open. There obviously are a couple of decks that are just really good. But I think that personally there's like 5 to 10 playable heroes at a high level that can win tournaments, like high level, like multi round tournaments. So kind of talking about like the obvious ones, right? Even with the Crown of Seeds ban, Oldheim's still an S tier deck in my opinion, still one of the best decks in the format. I don't think it's going to be like a Grim Reaper of Blitz. Do think it has counters. And I do think, right, like depending on who you're playing and what your meta looks like, there's ways of beating him. I think Kasai plays really well into him. Personally, I think Rynar plays really well into him, but overall, still a great hero. Like nothing's really going to change. I think most of the ST heroes aren't going to change, which is why I'm going to get them over with really, really fast. The second ST hero is Kasai. With Crown of Seas being banned, just makes the Oldheim matchup even a little bit better. I personally think Kasai is slightly favored in Oldheim. That's just my opinion. Some people would disagree with that, and that's totally fine. But she's definitely S tier level. She got a new card, Run Through, from the Dory battle boxes, which basically gives her another 2 Blade Runners. So now she has 8 Blade Runners, essentially like 4 yellows, 2 reds, and 2 blues. And then you can kind of play her 2 different ways, at least the ways I've been seeing. It's like the old school way of just a lot of go again, using hit and runs, things like that. And then, trying to outvalue your opponent. And then you're starting to see like a pump heavy deck where like a lot of people were playing pumps at the beginning, similar to with Dory. Playing Sharp and Steel, playing Driving Blade for go again +2 or whatever, stuff like that. So it all depends on like what your style is, but regardless, she's an S tier deck, and I think it's gonna be one of the best decks in the format. And then you have Rynar. I used the new art for him, so he's really good. Obviously, he just like the fact that he can OTK you on any given turn, being you can't do anything about it. He just blocks you. I do think Ice and Wizard will hurt him a little bit, but he plays really well. Not really well, but he plays well in Oldheim. Well into most of the decks. He can't really block a whole lot, which sucks. But he has a lot more consistency now. I'm not a brute player by trade or anything, so I don't know like all the intricacies of the deck. But from people I have talked to that play Rynar a lot, it seems like he's not as high rolly as he used to be. He has a lot more consistency with his Intimidate triggers. He has a lot more consistency with not having to have additional cost on all his cards and stuff like that. So I do think he's an S tier. So personally, I think those 3 are the S tier heroes. I think it slightly drops off from there, but it's not like a huge gap. Like all 3 of these heroes can be beat by other heroes. I just think that, It's not going to be, I don't think any of these heroes really stand on with them. Dory's really close right now, in my opinion, but I don't think she does. So that's that. As far as heroes that don't think are going to be as useful, like I really don't think there's a D tier in this list, so I'll just keep it blank. I don't think any heroes are just like trash. Even heroes like Azalea isn't great, but she's not trash. Like she's playable. I think Azalea is kind of in the bottom, honestly. And then Data Doll until she gets better is kind of at the bottom, not the greatest in the world. And really, I hate to say it, but Katsu, as much as I love the dude, and I think he's definitely like you can play him, I just don't think he's going to be that good. So those are kind of like my bottom level heroes, just kind of give you a gauge. And then we talk about other heroes, right? So we can just kind of go in order for this. So Chain's an A tier hero. If you play Chain correctly, right, he can be real menace. I think he's not very good in Oldheim, but he can block somewhat efficiently, especially early while he's gaining soul shackles. He has a couple things that have gotten like nerfed or banned or whatever, which hurts him a little bit. But overall, he's pretty good. And I think that he'll have a place in the meta. I think Oldheim, obviously not having Crown Seeds, is going to be forced to block him a little bit more. While also giving up like actual significant cards from hands. I think that'll help him. Overall, just a pretty solid deck, and I think a solid A tier deck. The next A tier deck is definitely Dash. Boost Dash is just disgusting. Really, really good. She has a lot of 3 blocks. She can high roll you pretty easily. And honestly, she can also just go to her trusty pistol depending on how the turn's going. So it just really depends. But I really see her being a force. I think Bravo is going to be kind of somewhat decent in the meta. We'll have to see. He's kind of like a weird one for me. Definitely really good. Like, don't get me wrong. And with Viscerai being gone, I think it helps. But he's like weird for me. He's either the bottom at A or the top of B. I haven't experienced against a lot of Bravo players in Blitz. He's probably really good. I just personally haven't experienced it. I've played here in Dallas and then back in my old local meta in North Carolina. I didn't play against a lot of them. I played against in the Battle Hardened in Dallas last season. I didn't see one Bravo. I don't know. I actually take that back. I played one Bravo as a Blessing of Deliverance, like life game Bravo against my Axis Dory, and I beat it, but it was a really close game. I would say B tier until I see how he plays in this meta personally, but I could definitely be wrong on that one. Briar A tier, still really good. Like channel's not as you have to hit your channels early, but even without channels, like she got a couple like cool cards. Like Sift is definitely useful in her deck depending on how you use it. Especially a blue, I think it's really good. It's a 3-block blue that can cycle your hand. She got Flex, which is also a really good attack, right? That can be really useful in the Dromai and Prism matchups, but also can just be good in general. And I think overall, she just is pretty solid. Like, definitely up there. I'd probably put her behind Dash. I'd probably put Dash in front of Chain. I don't know. These two are kind of interchangeable for me. Probably like this, honestly, is where I would put it. But yeah. Then you have Benji. Benji's so hard. It's so hard because without Crown of Seeds, it's not as abysmal in the Oldheim, although it's still abysmal. I think Benji's one of those heroes that. So the short answer is I think Benji's like top of the B tier. I won't be super biased because Dory and Warrior in general has a crap ton of armor. Dash even has a lot of armor. Chain has a lot of armor. Briar has a lot of armor. Right? There's a lot of top heroes with a lot of armor, and I think that does hurt Dash a lot, or not Dash. Gosh, Benji a lot. However, I think that Benji is more playable on like a high-low list. Like I think you play obviously the low key cards like Salt the Wound, Vipox, and Spring Tidings, but then you play like the key high cards like Take the Tempo, Flying Kicks, Command and Conquer, E-Strike, and I think you could like have this mix. It's just like how do you keep that kind of deck consistent, right? Because you are gonna have to value block a lot. Because Benji's biggest problem is people can just not block you if depending and wait for key cards, and if you don't have a key card like Springtide, Salt, or Vipox or something like that, they'll just take like 6 damage and you keep their whole hand, and in Blitz that's a death sentence, right? So I think it's hard for Benji. I think he's going to have to do a high-low list, but I'd probably put him at B tier for right now. Bolton, I guess B, I've literally never played against a Bolton and Blitz. I'm assuming it's viable, but I've just never played against it personally. Um, Dory's definitely A tier. I think she's top of the A tier. I think she's like one step from being S tier. Glistening Steelblade, like honestly, I put her in S tier. I'm making this call just based off how good I think Glistening Steelblade's gonna be in that meta. Like you play Glistening Steelblade into Dory, it just gets really stupid really fast. She also can use run through just like Kasai can. Um, and then also like she has sideboard options against Oldheim with her Resplendent builds that you can make the matchup a little bit better. But then you have to build your deck to that sort of, which makes it really hard to kind of fuse that in Blitz, but it's possible. Regardless, Dawnblade's really, really good. It performed well last season, even with Oldheim and Viscerai being around. And I think it's going to continue to perform in this meta. Dromai is really interesting. I've only played against Dromai a couple times, and I played against it with my Kasai, and it wasn't very. I mean, it wasn't very close. She can't value block like she wants to. I think it's going to have to be a really tanky version of Dromai. I'd probably put her in B tier right now until we see how she does. I don't think she's going to be as good. I think in Blitz, she's going to be really. You have two options. You can either high roll with dragons and hope you hit your dragons early, because it plays similar to Limited, where like Draft, where like if you hit your dragons early that you drafted, you can do really well. But if you don't, then you're in trouble. And then can her like fatigue style plan or like just like control plan with Oasis and Fates and Sinks and all that, can that be viable as well? As it can it slow down decks enough to to play well? So we'll have to see. But I'm gonna put her in B tier for right now. Fi, I'm putting in A tier. I think he's probably still. It's hard. I put him like him and Briar interchangeable. I just think Fi can't value block. Like people are gonna argue with me, and yes, he can technically present lethal turn one, and you can high roll people and just destroy them. I get it, but like he can't value block, and the problem with his style deck at 20 life is eventually you're gonna have to take damage to the face, right? To then play your 4 or 5 card hand and present lethal, and with that you have so many decks in this format that value block so well, right? Like a fully kitted Dory, if she's behind in life, has what 7 block, 2 from Skullcap, 2 from Courage, 2 from Brage Force, and 1 from Refraction Bolters or Dynamo, depending on how she's playing. Same thing with Kasai. Oldheim, on average has about 5 to 6 block in his armor suite. Even Dash does. Like all of these just block better. I mean, do you play Flame Scale and Shuko and Blitz and just try to value block too on your side as well? Who knows? But I don't think he's definitely gonna be good. He'll win events, in my opinion. Blitz. He'll do well at armories. He'll be fine. I just don't know how good he's gonna be that he can't value block, because you can't really just take 15 to the face in Blitz just because you're trying to hold your hand, which is what or 10 to the face or whatever, which is what I think Five's gonna try to do. And all I gotta do is block out your mass triggers or block out, value block enough to where your pouncing links really doesn't do that much, and then you're in trouble, right? So, because you can't just like not block for 2 turns in this meta. It just doesn't work, right? There's too many good decks, and there's gonna be a lot of disruption with Icelander and Oldheim and Bravo, and I just think it's not. And Kasai's like he's horrible into Kasai, because he gives her +1 on everything and blood in her hands. Like if she just hits it, he loses. I don't know how good he's gonna be. We'll have to see though. Could be wrong. We'll have to see. Ira's an A tier deck. Still, I think if Ira's played correctly, she's an A tier deck. People will disagree with me. She's at the bottom of A tier for sure. She's not better than any of these heroes, but I think if you play like an aggro Ira style, like I had in the Everfest meta, you definitely can do it. Doing even bigger than that, drawing into a Command and Conquer, playing Command and Conquer for 7 on your second attack with Go Again, and then playing a card like E-Strike for 7, like dealing 15 damage and threatening their arsenal. Like, yes, that's kind of a wombo combo turn, but like I had turns like that where I pitch a blue, Kadachi, even bigger than that, drew into a Command and Conquer, played Command and Conquer for 7, then played E-Strike for 7, or other lines like you pitch Kadachi, you have a push the point in hand, you play even bigger than that, draw from even bigger than that, play push the point for 7, Go Again, then you play like Command and Conquer for 6. Like there's crazy lines that she can do that really make your opponent want to cry a little bit. especially if you use snaps in the right way. And she can still value block pretty well. So I think she's viable. She's playable. Definitely not a top hero, and she's definitely kind of like, dropped off a little bit. I might actually put her above Chain a little bit. I don't know. But I think she's in the mix. Like, she's going to be playable for sure. Next one's Icelander. Icelander's weird. At first, I'm going to put her in B tier, but I think when people figure her out, including myself, like if I can, she'll move into like the A tier range. But right now, I'll put her in B tier. She has some interactions where like people pay for a Frostbite, and then reaction step, you play another card, which forces their reactions to not do well or gives them another Frostbite. Like, there's certain, like, I think people just are used to the whole like Arsenal, play out of Arsenal the first time I get a chance to respond and give you another Frostbite, right? Like, but if you pick and choose when to give Frostbites and when to react and when to do things, it's really good. And she can run really tanky. She can run like, 2 Oasis Respites, 2 Sinks, 2 Fates, 2 Sigils, and just really like outvalue you. So she might move into the A tier range. Definitely, I think she's viable. She's pretty good in Oldheim if he's not playing the aggro strategy. She just makes Warrior want to cry, in my opinion, if you play her correctly. So she's really good against those two. Rynar, she'll be pretty decent too. Like, she'll be pretty decent in all these three. So you might can put her at the bottom of A tier just because of how decent she'll be into a good portion of the top meta. She might be a good anti-pick once people figure her out. But we'll have to see. Kano is going to be A tier. He's just really good. He's going to do well against a decent amount of the field. Warrior does not want to see Kano. And overall, the reason Kano is going to be hard is because in Blitz, you do have to be really experienced with them. And from what I've seen, most of I'm not a Wizard player by trade either, but most people that I've talked to that play Wizard nonstop say that he's really good. But you have to have practice with the deck against the top heroes, or else you're just gonna die. But definitely an A tier, and now you can see the trend of what I'm talking about. How there is a top level of meta, but I do think there's definitely a lot of playable heroes. KO, just too high rolly. Definitely could play well. Maybe you put him with the bottom of B tier because he can like OTK someone, but just too high rolly. Levia, Sag, I don't think Levia is going to be useful in this meta. Gosh, 25 heroes is nuts. 24 heroes. Lexi, I think Lightning Lexi could be pretty well. I just don't think she blocks super well right now. I'd probably put her in B tier right now until someone figures her out. The Snapshot Lexi definitely is playable, but if you lose tempo, it's the same thing with Snapshot and Ice Lexi. If you lose tempo at all during the Blitz game, the game's over. Because in CC, she can at least like try to gain tempo back, maybe through 2 or 3 turns, taking a little bit of a life deficit. But in Blitz, you can't do that. So because of that, she doesn't block very well. I just wouldn't put her anywhere. Then you have Dory Resplendent. This one's weird. I think she's a B tier hero. What I like about Dory Resplendent, and I said this in my deck tech, is she's she's similar to Axes, where like she gets a lot of value, like, but instead of Spillblood, she has Glistening. Because the way she reads is the first time Dory Resplendent or Dawnblade Resplendent gains Go Again, you can attack with additional time. So it doesn't have to hit, right? If you play Resplendent with normal Dory, it still has to hit, right, in order to be swung with again, unless you have like Twinning Blade. But with this Dory, as long as you can give it Go Again, you're guaranteed to be able to swing twice. And when you combine that with like, run through, when you combine that with hit and runs, when you combine that with Glistening, and you combine that with her new specialization you can even use if you wanted, I think it's definitely playable, and we'll have to see how good it actually is. I think the problem is like you play that build and you're like, why would you play this over regular Dory? Which is what I'm doing because I enjoy the hero. It's really fun. But we'll have to see. I think she's gonna be like smack down in the middle of B tier. I don't think she's bad. I just don't know why you don't play regular Dory. Prism's B tier. However, Prism was seen as kind of like a counter pick in the last meta. I remember in Vegas at the Battle Hardened, a lot of people were not Battle Hardened. What was that event? Yeah, it was the Battle Hardened. Oh, it was the Blitz event, the big Blitz event. A lot of people, the top list had Prism in it. It's definitely a counter pick, so you might actually see it in A tier now because it's seen as a counter pick for the meta. It was really interesting to see that the top three players on that team have like Prism, Rynar, and what was the last one? Can't remember the last hero, but it was Prism and Rynar were the two of them. Definitely maybe see more play now that it did that, but we'll have to see. And then Valda. Valda is interesting. It'd be really cool. I'm gonna put her in B tier for fun's sake because it'll be kind of cool to see if anybody can make a build work with Valda on what's the chess piece, the Earth chess piece, Earth War Bounty. If they can make an Earth War Bounty build work with Sift, we'll have to see. Be really interesting to see that. Really fun. But overall, I don't know how good or bad she'll be, so not really gonna put a weight on that. But yeah, this is the list. Like I said, I think these 4 are the top, and then all these heroes are playable. I think all these heroes are playable after these 4. That's personally where I would set everything. Let me know if you disagree or agree with anything. Totally fine. Like I said, this is just a fun list that I wanted to put through. Me personally, I'll be playing Kasai a little bit. I'll be playing Dory Resplendent. I'll be playing Fi just for fun. And then a little bit of Chain and Icelander. I think that's like my 5 that I'm going to be messing around with. And Azalea. Actually, I built an Azalea deck. So like I said, Blitz for me is just really fun to play. Really enjoy it. If you're a new player watching this, and first of all, if you made it this far, like, thank you. But if I were you, I would buy into Kasai. I think she's good. And Dory, I would buy into Warrior if you're wanting to play Blitz. I would not buy into Oldheim because he's probably going to hit Living Legend this season. You won't be able to play him anymore. So definitely I wouldn't waste your money on his stuff. I would honestly buy into Warrior to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't, no worries. Go to our Flesh Bug Creator, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff so we get more people seeing this game. Join the Discord down below if you want to. A lot of fun people in there, whether you're a Ninja player or not, doesn't matter. Definitely join and join the conversation, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.